Well, welcome to week 4 and the sunset square. We need to make 4 of these in total. So obviously I will just show you one and then you can watch again if you need to for the next set. Now this square is made with the right side facing at all times and a little bit different to what we've done before. On rounds 1 to 5 we will be using 2 yarns, one immediately after the other, and you don't cut the yarn off with this. So we'll have the yellow, the buttercup, and then this lovely opal yarn working one after the other, and I'll show you how we want you to carry the yarn around the back so that you don't end up with any weird loops or anything to get snagged. So you can either make a chain of 4 and then slip stitch to join your circle, or you can make a magic loop. So I'm going to make a magic loop by going round my fingers like that. So pinch, wrap it round your fingers, pinch again, and then put my hook through and bring a loop through. And it's at this point where, if you're quite new to it, you don't feel like you've got enough fingers and thumbs, but I'm going to nip that there and then reset my hand. So I have this loop that I'm going to be working into, and you need to be working over the 2 loops at this side, keeping this one free because it's got to pull tight at the end. So different to my normal way of doing it, I'm going to do a chain of 3 all using the working yarn. As you'll know if you've watched the other videos, I quite like to do my first loop usually with the tail, but we're not doing that this time. So that is 3 chain, and that doesn't count as a stitch just for this first round. We're then going to make 6 trebles into the ring using this yarn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's my chain of 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, shouldn't have finished that last one off with the yellow because we're joining in the new yarn. So let's pull that across. With these first rows, I'm going to stress, I really feel you need to be quite slow and deliberate because it's very easy to get carried away, start rattling around thinking this is great, and then you suddenly realise that you've sort of missed a little bit of the information. So as I was saying before, you need to carry the yarn that you're not using, so in this case the yellow still needs to be carried around underneath the stitches, so you're sort of crocheting it in. So we're going to do another 6 trebles in the sort of the turquoise, the opal. So this time it needs to be going all the way around. I've got 4 threads going on there that are all getting crocheted in. So this is quite a tricky round, probably not for the more experienced crocheter, but certainly if you're fairly new or haven't done this type of thing with magic circles before, it might feel a little bit daunting, but just have a practice. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and here we go. So you've got your single piece of loop there, but all these extras running round behind. Now I am needing to change my yarn back to the yellow, the buttercup. So I also need to tighten this ring. So that's done by pulling the tail. So get the lemony coloured tail, pull your magic circle together with the lemon tail, and then you'll have another bit of blue tail. Just stick that back for now. And I want to finish by changing back to the lemon and then you slip stitch there to that top of the chain 3 there. That's probably the easiest, either that or to the first treble. Might be neater to the first treble, we'll try that too. So let's go with the first treble. Okay, nice and neat, so you've got a lovely 50-50 split there. Then we'll go straight into round 2. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's number 6 there. I'm going to do a chain of 3 in the yellow, and in this case that one does count as your first treble. So then we're going to do another treble into the same place. Then we're going to work 2 trebles. Oops, and this is where I don't want to go firing ahead too much. We need to carry this around behind. So that's the bit that is so easy to forget. So this turquoisey one, not all the other little extra tails, we'll just pull them out of the way a minute. So I'm going to hold that turquoise yarn sort of here, and I'm going to work a treble into there, but at the same time I'm going to tuck it in behind and catch that one. That's one, and then same again in, making sure I catch that yarn in the back. I'll turn it over in a minute, then you can see the sort of thing you're trying to achieve. So same again, into the next stitch, doing 2 trebles, and again, each time catching the turquoise yarn at the back so that you wrap around it. And another 2 sets of 2 trebles. One. As we get to the last one, I'm going to pause there. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So we then untangle my fingers, bring the opal yarn and pull it through the final 2 stitches, and then we're going to continue with the 2 lots of trebles into each stitch, but this time we need to catch that lemon yarn at the back. So I'm going to go into the first one there and make sure that that yellow is tucked in. 1, 2 in there, and then again across there, keeping that lemon yarn tucked in so that it's ready and waiting for us at the other end. That's 4 sets. Five sets, and then this is my 6th set. So pause there, change to the lemon yarn and slip stitch to the top of this chain of 3. So that's what you should end up with at the front, where you've got this 50-50 split, and when you turn it over you will have, those are the 2 tails that need sewing in, and here you should start to, you will have one probably near the beginning where you've got a slightly longer bit going on, and then you pick up and everything else you can see is hidden inside, all neatly tucked away and ready for the next round. So we'll just pause for a second to let everybody either rewatch and catch up with that, and I'm going to sew these ends in so that they're out of my way, and then we'll come back with round 3. Okay, so here we are back with round 3. Two things. Right, so with the lemon we do a chain of 3, and we're going to do another treble into that same stitch. We now need to make sure that we are keeping this the turquoise yarn tucked in, and we're going to do just 1 treble, making sure that's over the loop as well. So we've got the equivalent of a pair of trebles and 1, and then we're going to work all the way around here doing 2 trebles into 1 hole, and 1 treble into the next. And all the time we need to be carrying this yarn around. Don't worry too much if you can see it a little bit. We will, I'll show you sort of how to tuck it back a bit, but also it won't be against a white background when you're using it, or when you've got it, you know, laid over a chair or whatever. So it's not going to be laid out against a stark white piece of paper with every tiny little bit showing. It will, the turquoise does just sort of disappear into the background. So don't panic. So right, pairs of trebles and then an individual treble. And then another pair of trebles, an individual. And then the final pair of trebles and the individual, remembering to swap the yarn colour at the end of the final one. So let's, and then we carry on. So again, we're now let me just check. At this point, I don't think we need to carry any more of the yellow around. Yeah, we can fasten off yarn A at this point. So we've got 3 rows using the yellow at that point. Then we can chop that off, move it out of the way, because we're going to introduce a different colour at the end. And so we're doing 2 trebles into 1, and then 1 treble into the next stitch, 2 into 1 hole, 1 into the next, and we're going to repeat this. That should be 6 times. So yeah, that's 1, 2, 3 sets. 4, 5, 6, 6, and I'm just going to pause there because we now need to change to yarn I, which in this case is the Clementine, which would have been useful if I'd had set up before, but just a little stretch. So we bring the Clementine in, and slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. So that's where we should be at the end of the 3rd round, and that's what your back will probably look like. So again, pause a minute, sew some ends in so that they're out of the way. Don't cut this yarn off. The opal is still being used, so don't be tempted to suddenly cut everything off. So we'll pause at that point and we'll be back in a second with round 4. Okay, we're back with round 4 and this lovely Clementine yarn, and we're going to do a chain of 3, and then we need to do 1 treble into the same hole. Now again, we need to keep this turquoise yarn coming along with us, so you can actually start crocheting it in if you wish right at the beginning. Okay, and then we're doing 2 individual trebles, 1 into each of the next 2 holes. So we've got a pair of trebles, don't worry, we can tighten that a little bit up in a minute, and then 2 individuals. So keeping the lovely opal yarn running around the back, I'm doing 2 into 1, and then an individual, 2 into 1, and 2 individuals, and we're going to carry on with this. Doing 2 into 1 and then 2 individuals until we need to change colour. Do make sure you're catching the turquoise yarn on the way round. So we're coming to where we need to change. And 1 and another 1, and again we've carried it round, so we now need to change it over. We're only doing that 1 section in this lovely orange yarn, so at this point you can take your scissors and chop it off, pop it to one side. So then we're carrying on the sequence around the back, but you don't need to be holding on to any of your yarns. You could hold it on and sort of crochet it in. I think it would look neater to pop it into the back of here, so I'm going to sew in my orange yarn into the back of the orange yarn. My preference, obviously you do what works for you. So I've got 2 trebles in 1 hole and then 2 individual trebles into the next 2. So it's the same stitch combination, just working its way around the other side. 1, 2, so a pair, 2 individuals, a pair, 2 individuals. So another pair, 2 individuals. Pair, 2 individuals, and then the final pair of trebles, another 2 individuals, and I'm just going to pause there because we then need yarn F, which for me is this lovely cherry red. And pull that through at the end, and then slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. So that's where you need to be at the end of round 4. I'll pause it there and let you all catch up, and then we'll be back in a moment with round 5. So here we are for round 5. We're going to do a chain of 3 and then another one right with it, not forgetting to start carrying your other colour across the back. And then we're going to work 1 treble into each of the next 3 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 2 trebles into the next stitch, and then 3 individual trebles. 1, 2, 3, then 2 trebles into the next stitch, and 1, 2, 3 individuals. And again, nice easy combination this. 2 trebles into the next, and then 3 individuals. Oh. Keeping that turquoise yarn nice and neat and tucked in at the back. And then we're at the end now, so we've got our final pair of trebles. Then 1, 2, and get most of the way through that third one, remembering to swap as you get to that point. Now we can fasten this one off now because we don't need that colour anymore, and it's just one less thing to get tangled on. Then we start again with 2 trebles into 1 and 3 individuals. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2 into 1, 3 individuals, another 2 into 1. And then 3 individuals. So we're now back at the beginning with our final individual treble, and then we need to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3, and this time we can actually fasten off, and you should have 60 stitches all the way around. So I'm just going to sew my ends in, and then I'm going to do a little bit of prep because I want to show you a little tip I've got for the next round, which I think you might find quite helpful. So we'll be back in a second with round 6, and well, I hope you find some useful hints. Okay. Right, welcome back to round 6. Of the sunset square. So this one's a slightly more complex row. It's made using the lovely yellow buttercup yarn, or whichever yellow you've chosen. Now on this we're going to be doing some of the front post triple trebles on these, and they're worked into this yellow round here. So what I've done in advance is I've gone through the instructions and I've counted where I need to put my front post triple trebles. So there's 1 in the first one, and then you're missing 2 stitches and working 1 into the next, missing 3 stitches, working 1 into the next, missing 2, working 1 into the next, missing 3, working 1 into the next there, and then finally missing 2 and working 1 into the last one. But the first thing we've got to do is get round this section here. So into the first stitch, bring it through, and we work a 1 chain, and this does actually count as the first double crochet for this round. And then we're going to work 29 double crochets, so that's 1 into each of these till I get sort of around to here. So 1, 2, 3, 5, so you can see the kind of stitch you're aiming for. Keep going till you've got 29. Okay, so I've done my 29 stitches and I'm back here. We're actually going to end up covering this bit up quite nicely. So you work the first front post triple treble, so that's 3 wraps. You've got your original stitch and 3 wraps, and then we're going in from right to left there. Bring that back through, round through 2, round and through 2, round and through 2, and round and through 2. Okay, we are missing the first stitch, this stitch here that we've covered, and we need to actually do 5 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're missing that stitch and we're going to work the triple treble into this stitch. This is why I think it pays to mark them, because by the time you've done all the other counting and then that and gone back to your instructions, it's quite a tricky row, so it's easier to do that and make the row a bit easier. So we're missing that stitch, working another 5 double crochet. Another triple treble, one, 2, 3, 4. Then miss 1 and we're going to work 4 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3 wraps into the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to miss a stitch, work 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another triple treble. 1, 2, 3, 4. Miss a stitch, do another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're missing this last stitch. Final triple treble, and then we go into the first stitch to join. You can see there, I hope, what you're doing or what you need to achieve. So hopefully that's made that row a lot easier for you. It is quite a long row when you look at the instructions, but it does work really well. So we'll chop that off and sort the ends out, and we'll come back with round 7. Okay, here we are with round 7 of the sunset square. For this we're going to use the lovely pink yarn, and it's very important for this that you start in the right place, because we're going to turn the circle into a square. So we're going into the second stitch from the second sunshine ray, so not this one but this one in there. Okay, so we're doing a chain of 4. As you know, I like to do one with the tail, and then 1, 2, 3 of those, and that counts as the first double treble. Now, because we're going to start by working a corner, I'm going to work immediately another double treble, so that's 2 wraps before you go into the hole, and then round and through 2, round and through 2, round and through 2. So we've got the equivalent there of 2 double trebles, 2 chains, and another 2 double trebles. So got your double wraps and into the hole. then we're going to do another double treble, and then 2 normal trebles, 1, 2, 2 half trebles. But when you get to a ray of sunshine there, you actually go into the red row below. So every time you reach one of the rays, whatever the stitch should be, you work it the second row down, so work it into the red. So that's 2 half trebles, then 4 double crochet, and the 4th one will be at this point, so you need to go into the red row. So that's 4 double crochet, 2 half trebles, 2 trebles, 1 double treble, so that's a double wrap, and then we're going to work a corner, but we're going to have to work it into that red stitch down there. So 2 double trebles, 2 chains, and 2 double trebles, all into the same stitch. Then another double treble. Hopefully you're starting to get the idea that there's a definite sequence going on here. 2 normal trebles, 2 half trebles, then 4 double crochet, but the first one is going right down and underneath into that red row, so that's 1. Then I need to squeeze another one in there so I don't run out of stitches. 2, 3, 4. It's always a little bit more tricky where the joins come. So then 2 half trebles, 2 trebles, a double treble, and then we're back at a corner, so we're going to do 2 double trebles, 2 chain, and another 2 double trebles. Then another double treble into the next stitch. So we're working our way along another side now. So we need 2 trebles, 2 half trebles, 4 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, a half treble followed by another half treble, followed by a standard treble and another standard treble, then a double treble, and then a corner. So 2 double trebles. Oops, start that one again. One, 2, 2 chain, and 2 double trebles, then another double treble, 2 individual trebles, 2 half trebles, 4, 4 double crochet, so that's 1, 2, oops, second, that one is just before one of the yellows, so it should be into the row below. So that one wants to go right down there to where the blue and the red meet, and it's a double. So in the hole, bring it back through. That's 2, that's 3, that's 4. Then we've got 2 half trebles, 2 normal trebles. Oh, here we are again. Normal treble goes into that row below. And then a final double treble. And we're back at the original corner that we started with, and we're going to slip stitch. So I split the yarn there, let's do that more cleanly. That's better. There we go. So we're back there, and you can see now, just move that to one side. Here we are. Nice and square. If you want to, you can block these. We are going to be putting another 3 borders onto this. Yeah, there's a blue, an orange and a cream border, so we will be adding 2. I'm going to cut that off, finish that, and there you can see you have a square. Okay, we'll be back shortly with round 8. Okay, welcome back to round 8. And for this one we are using yarn G, which for me is the French Navy, and we are going to be working along the sides, putting a nice little navy blue border onto this. So go into any corner space that you like, and we need to do a 4 chain, or a chain of 4. 2, 3, 4. That chain of 4 counts as a half treble plus 2 chains. Okay, so we now need to do another half treble into this corner. All right, and then we're going to work a half treble into each stitch across. So there's 18 stitches, and then you'll have 1 at either end in the corner plus a 2 chain, and then another one that starts the next row, or the next round, half of the round. So your half trebles, and wrap in, grab it and back through, and then round and through all 3. So I need 18 of these going across one side. As you can see, I'm crocheting the tail in at the same time. Entirely up to you if you'd like to do that, or if you like to sew everything in at the end. Again, your choice. I find it doesn't always pay to do this, but quite often it does, and I find at this point I think it'll be a neat way of adding it in. So keep going with the half trebles. Did I miss a bit? No, I didn't. No, that's correct. Just suddenly felt I was going wrong there, but don't think I am. So we're nearly there. So that's 18 half trebles along the side, and then a half treble, 2 chains, and another half treble into the corner, and then you start working along. Do start to work into that first stitch there, and then just keep going all the way around till you get to here and join with a slip stitch. Okay, let's just crack on with it. So we're back at the beginning and we're just going to slip stitch fairly low down into the chain of 4, probably into the second chain for that one, and then cut off your yarn, pull it through, and there we are. That's up to round 8. Just a couple more rounds to go. See you shortly. Okay, back with round 9, and we're using the lovely orange yarn I, which for me is the Clementine, and we are joining into any of the corners and doing a chain of 3. Then we're going to work 2 trebles into the same corner, 2 chain, and then 3 more trebles. Then you miss 2 stitches, so I'm missing that one and that one. In fact, let's just check these across, because what we're going to end up with here are 6 blocks plus the corners, and they're happening about every 3 stitches. So if I were to work into this one, and then that'd be 1, 2, just put that in a second. So there, if we said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that would be perfect then for working into there. So, that being the case, we're going into here with 3 trebles. So we're doing those little fan shapes again. Miss 2 stitches and 3 trebles into the next one. Miss another 2 stitches. So you can see how I've got pairs of stitches. It's difficult to see on that first one because the first one's actually hidden underneath the corner, but it is there. Miss 2, into the third. Miss 2. Miss another 2. And then we've got 2 to miss, and we're straight into here with 3 trebles. And 2 chain and another 3 trebles, all into the corner. So just pause there and show you. You've got your corner one, then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 evenly spaced ones across the side. Start again. So I'm going to miss that one there, this one, and work into that one. If you did end up one further over, don't panic. As long as you're consistent all the way around, then it will look fine. People have slightly different opinions on where to start working for these, but as long as you're consistent and it looks neat and you've got the right number of stitches at the end, then it's not really something that you need to stress about. This should be fun. Okay, I'm going to continue all the way round, doing 3 treble, 2 chain, 3 treble into the corners, and then sets of 6 going down the sides. So we'll get round to the other end and join with a slip stitch. Right, so we're back at the beginning. We're gonna slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, cut off the yarn, and we're nearly there with this now. You can see the effect that you should have. We've just one more round to go, so we'll see you in round 10. Okay, so here we are with round 9 complete, and we're about to start round 10. Round 10 is very similar to the previous round and is done in the ecru, or the creamy coloured yarn. So again, you join into a corner, any corner chain space, just entirely up to you. And we are doing 3 chains. So I've done 1 with my tail and 2 with the working yarn. And then, just get my hand set up properly, we're going to do 2 UK trebles and 2 chain, and then another 3 trebles. So with your starter chain, you've got the equivalent of 3 trebles here, 3 trebles here. And then, as with the row before, you are creating 3 trebles, but this time it's into these spaces. So where before you were having to count and work your way along the row, this one is even easier because the gap is there for you to work into. So for each one of the gaps, you're working 3 trebles into the space. So I'll just do a couple and then show you. So that's what you're trying to achieve there. So you've got your corners with 3 plus 2 chain plus another 3, and then sets of 3. We're going to do all the way across to here, and then do another corner, which is 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles. So we'll crack on with that and be round at the other end fairly shortly. Okay, so what you can see there is all the finished crochet here. We just have some little waves to put here, so we'll sort that one out in just a moment. But I hope you like your finished square. That should be even all the way around. Do double check that you've got the same number of sets of 3 round the sides, but you should have. Okay, we'll join you in just a second to do the waves on the sea. Okay, so here we are with the completed square, and now we're going to put some little bits of surface wave on it. Now you can embroider these using the Lazy Daisy stitch, which is one that's very well documented already on the internet and in books, but you can also crochet them on. Now this is just one way that I'm going to show you. This is the way I've decided to do it today. There's no right or wrong way of this, you just need your little waves to be on there. So I'm going from front to back, leaving a bit of a tail there. I'm going to pull this through. Okay, so I now have a loop at the front. Now the most difficult bit of this is deciding which bit you want to crochet into next. So, because that means making a definite decision. I'm going to go through here, and then using the working end of the yarn, I'm going to pull that back through and back through here. Now at the moment it looks a bit messy, but don't worry about it. We can pull that a bit tighter, and then I want to make a second wave by going in there and then turn it over again, grab another loop of yarn, bring it through, and it's like doing a slip stitch, and you can see there how I've done 2 chains across. We will make that catch together a little bit more secure later. Now doing it this way, you are a little bit in and out with your hook from the yarn, because the next thing I'm going to do, I've taken the hook out, I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to go into the hole that I've just worked in, grab the yarn, and say this does seem a bit fiddly, but I quite like the finished effect, so I think it's worth the fiddle. Pull that through. So we're back at the other side. So on the reverse of the work, get your working yarn, and when I untangle myself, because I've got a little bit tangled there, I'm going to do a chain of 3, and this will just give me a little bit of space. Leave that as a longish loop for now so that it doesn't pull itself back, and you can neaten these off as we go along. I'm now going to work into a different spot, so I want to make my next one over there. Shall I go? Yeah, we'll go in there. So I've gone front to back again with the hook, refind the loop and bring it back through. Okay, then I'm going to go into, how big a loop do I want? Not too big. I think I'll go over here. You can make obviously as many little loops as you like. That's another one, and then I'm going to go into here, grab another bit of yarn, pull it through. And if you're not happy with any of these, obviously just do them again. They're very, very easy to pull back. And then leaving a slightly longer loop, going in from the back. I might just need to tighten that a bit to get a bit more control. Pull that through. So there's my second little wave. And another 1, 2, 3, just so I've got a bit of distance to work with. Back to the front to have a look, and again once you've finished you can just tweak these a little bit. So I want to do my next one somewhere a bit central. I'm going to go in there. Again, look for my loop, pull that tighter, bring it through. I think we'll go into there. Bring that through, and then again grab that yarn, bring it through and through, leave myself a loop, come back through the other hole, pull that through to the back. So you can see how I'm getting these without having to have loads of little cast on cast off bits and tails to end up sewing in. And then the chain of 3. Back to the front again. Neaten off the work I've just done. This time I'm going to go in there. Bring my yarn through. One. Where do I want to be? Maybe there. It's all personal choice. Through from the back again. Take it through. 1, 2, 3. And then finally, I think I'll make one there. So grab my loop again, pulling it fairly tight, give me a little bit of control. And I'll work backwards this way, so you can go in any direction you like. If I turn the work around, it's probably a bit easier. And loop through, and loop through, and then we need to do the final catch, which is going through there. Okay, so just check before you cut your yarn off that you're reasonably happy. You can get your needle and just adjust things slightly. So that's at that point. Now, I left quite a long tail there for a reason, and I'm going to have a reasonably long tail here as well. So I want to loop that through, so I've got that attached here. And then what I decided to do was, in order to fasten it off as securely as possible, I'm doing a little whip stitch across here. And I've decided to go pretty much to the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to stop that there for a minute. Then do the same at this end. So whip stitching along the back. Now, obviously these are designed to be used, so you do want things to be a little bit robust if at all possible. And so what I like to do then at this point is actually knot those two ends. Don't pull it too tight, you don't want to concertina your work, but they're already sewn in, so theoretically they wouldn't come out. But just to be doubly trebly sure. Well, so I've woven the ends in and then knotted them in the middle, and then when you turn it over you've got all these here, and as I said, you can just even them out slightly with your stitching. But at the end of the day, this is a blanket and you're expecting people to sit on it, so absolute perfection is not really going to be necessary at the end of the day, but I think that looks quite cute. So that is this row, or this panel complete. You need 4 of these, so you need to get cracking with those. Hope you liked it, and I hope you enjoy making this, and we'll see you in the next instalment. Bye for now.